Sex is the life force energy that runs through us all. Can you use sexual energy for your spiritual evolution? Or perhaps for emotional healing? Is it even possible? Clinical sexologist Dr. Martha Tara Lee will explore all these and more on Eros Evolution on Om Times Radio.
Welcome to Eros Evolution, where sexuality and spirituality meets. This is Dr. Martha Tara Lee. I'm a clinical sexologist based in Singapore, and my company is called Eros Coaching. That's EROS coaching.com. This is a show that talks about the link between sexuality and spirituality. And this is Christmas Day in Singapore. It is 5 a.m. And this is Christmas Eve in Ecuador, which is where my guest today is based in. And she is Pyasa Neko Siff. And today's show is called Rising in Love. Are you afraid of the very thing that will give you the love connection you really want? The secret to a fulfilling relationship and satisfying sex is one and the same. Intimacy coach and certified somatic sexologist Pyasa Neko Siff wants to inspire you to cultivate the keys that will help keep your relationship fresh and growing. So join me today as we will be investigating the most common relationship obstacle that stands in the way of long-lasting love. Learn how to navigate your love relationships with simple tools and approaches that will enrich your life and lead you on a path towards self-realization. So more about my guest today, Pyasa Neko Siff. She's a certified somatic sexologist and intimacy coach. She's also a wild woman, a poetess, certified firewalker instructor, and has been initiated as an Adine healing practitioner. She weaves her training in oriental body therapy, pelvic heart integration, sexual shamanism, tantra, and meditation into the work she shares in the world. You can find out more about her by going to her website, intimacyadventure.com. More about her as we continue with the show. So, very big welcome to you, Pyasa.
Thank you. Hello, Martha. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. So what do you feel about Christmas?
Well, the energy of Christmas, it is a wild time here on planet Earth. I think in so many places in the world, there's very high energy, a lot of expectations, and also a lot of disappointment. It can be a challenging time for a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree with you. And based on the many things that you do, I'm just wondering, to just put it out there, what could be one of the things that you yourself do to ground yourself during this time?
Thank you for asking. I have a very simple Andean meditation that I love to share and that I share with clients and in ceremonies, where very simply, I'll just share it quickly, which is receiving energy from the heavens coming into our pakpo, our energy field, and filling our pakpo. And then allowing once we feel full with this energy from the heavens, or also in the Andean cosmology, it's called the Hanak Pacha. When we feel full with this energy, then it's time to give back to Pachamama, to Mother Earth. So we allow any heavy energy, any worry, anxiety, pain, fear, to flow out into the earth. And this is just a very simple way that we can ground.
So what you're saying is you are allowing energy from the heavens to come into our bodies and then to ground this energy through our intention back to earth?
To release any anxieties and fears that we have that are stuck in our body or in our energy bodies, to release that part into the earth. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
We were just chatting just before the show started, and Pyasa has a lovely voice and also lovely energy. She's also a very beautiful woman, just for listeners out there. So you have this new book called The Intimacy Adventure Playbook, 33 Provocative Explorations for a Deeper, Hotter Love Connection. And just a few weeks before this show, she had emailed it to me, and I have read it. It's beautifully written, and there are 33 practices inside. And tell us more about your book and what is the premise behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I created the Intimacy Adventure because I really wanted to find ways to inspire people to cultivate intimacy. Because we live in such busy times, we rarely take the time to just stop and share practices that will cultivate the intimacy and the emotional connection and the communication that we really need to keep our relationship alive. So what I did is I put together this collection of fun activities that will help people to explore each other and to also explore themselves, to get to know themselves better so that they can share, so that we can share with each other. And and what, as I say, they're provocative because it provokes deeper inquiry into ourselves. And that brings what I said about a deeper, hotter love connection. It's what we need to have great sex.
Yeah, I really love your book a lot, and I can see why the title is very apt, because it's all about intimacy and it's all about being on an adventure, and it's also about having fun. Mm-hmm. And you also call yourself an intimacy coach. So the whole premise of your work is a big part of it is intimacy. So in your opinion, what is intimacy, and why is it so important in your opinion?
Mm-hmm. Intimacy allows us to feel free. I love Osho said one time that love is a state of relaxation. And I really find that to be true. It's when we feel relaxed, we can expand. And in this place, we're able to express ourselves and be seen as who we truly are. And it's really the foundation for any satisfying relationship. And so intimacy is really sharing our vulnerabilities. There's a lot of types of intimacy. We have emotional intimacy. We can have physical intimacy, which I think most people relate to, or what they think of when they hear the word intimacy is sexual intimacy. But we can have emotional intimacy, financial intimacy.
So intimacy refers to being vulnerable and being intimate in many areas of our lives. How do people build intimacy? I feel that how deep you can go really depends on your relationship with yourself and also with your partner. So,
exactly.
So, how can couples do that besides reading your book, of course? Like, what are some of your thoughts around this?
Mostly being authentic, really being who we are, and not being afraid to be seen. And I think that's one of the obstacles in relationship is that many of us are so afraid to be seen because deep down, so many of us carry the wound of not feeling good enough and not being deserving of love. And so when we're vulnerable, we're sharing our imperfection and allowing ourselves to be seen within a place of safety and support when we're in a love relationship with somebody, whether it's really forever or for a period of time. It doesn't matter if it's forever, but if we can just allow ourselves to have courage, which the word courage comes from the Latin word cor, meaning heart. And the original meaning of courage is to really be so seen that we allow ourselves to be wholehearted.
I love it.
And vulnerability also, I want to add to that, vulnerability is also the birthplace of joy and love. That's the place where we feel so most relaxed because we are who we are. and loving ourselves and being kind to ourselves, that can flow out so that we can be loving and kind with other people.
Yeah, I very much think it's a cultural thing where people, some cultures, they are not used to talking about their emotions or even being honest with themselves about their emotions. And I generally find that it is harder for men. What are some of the your thoughts around working with clients around their vulnerabilities?
Can you elaborate on that question?
I have challenges working with clients with their vulnerabilities and helping them process their emotions. So I'm just curious how you do that.
Right. Well, that's where I love using somatic explorations and helping people to develop more sensitivity and awareness to what they're actually experiencing. So bringing people back into their bodies, being aware of where they're holding tension, and what is that, being able to give voice to what that tension feels like, or what does that tension have to say, what can it teach us. So I think my greatest tool is awareness, helping people to drop deeper into presence and awareness, and I think also being vulnerable myself. I also know I'm not perfect, and I like to share about myself with others as well. I think it allows them to feel more comfortable and relaxed, and yeah.
I love what you're sharing. I truly do. It's simple yet so profound, because there are many ways to have awareness, and one of it is, like you mentioned, the easiest one is to be back with our bodies. And when they start processing that, then they can process the insight as well. So we have a break, and we'll be with Pyasa more after this break.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I've tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back to Eros Evolution, where sexuality and spirituality meets. It's Christmas Day in Singapore and Christmas Eve in Ecuador, and we are talking about love. this is the ultimate, because all of us want love, and the people listening to this show are usually people who are very much into self-development, into consciousness, into mindfulness, and love is one of the big things that we all want to have more of. And today we are with Pyasa Neko Siff, and we are talking about rising in love. She is the founder of La Diva Divana in the Edens, where she offers somatic sex education to empower women in reclaiming their authentic sexual expressions. She enjoys traveling the world with a partner of 15 years. Together, they facilitate couple intimacy workshops, active meditations, and the traditional Edens ceremonies. She is the author of the Intimacy Adventure Playbook, 33 Provocative Explorations for a Deeper, Hotter Love Connection. In the early 90s, as Pyasa became aware of her childhood sexual trauma, she embarked on the path of self-healing. At the age of 23, her desire for wholeness combined with her sense of adventure led her on a solo journey to India, where her life changed forever when she landed at the Osho Ashram in Pune. There she was introduced to the cathartic transformational work of Tantra and meditation that has sparked her thirst in pursuing knowledge and education in the field of intimacy and sexuality. So Pyasa really knows what she's talking about. And just before break, we were talking about intimacy and the different types of intimacy. And one of the takeaways that I already got from her is how, in order to become more vulnerable, we need to be aware of ourselves and our own vulnerabilities. And instead of working on the inside, which sometimes is difficult for people to get in touch with, perhaps then working on the outside. Outside, not just, I'm referring to outside as in the body. So besides the emotions, there's also the body. So she talks about the importance of coming back to our bodies through her somatic work, and even simple things like being in touch with our breath and sound and movement. These are all related to somatic work that Pyasa was referring to. So I very much appreciate this path that she's talking about. So welcome back to the show, Pyasa.
Thank you. Hello.
Yes. So I was just doing a quick summary of what we talked about before and how much I appreciate your wisdom already. So tell us more about this importance of cultivating intimacy, because both of us speak the same language. We understand it's important, but for listeners out there, is there anything else that you'd like to add to the importance of intimacy?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I would. Let's see. I would like to share about, for a lot of years in relationship, I think I was really addicted to the honeymoon phase, and I think that is a really common experience for many people. When we get together and everything is just this easy hormone-driven intimacy that we have, and then it comes to this place somewhere about 6 to 18 months into a relationship, sometimes sooner, sometimes much faster for some people, and then we start to experience our triggers. The person that we thought was this idealized new partner, the perfect one, that this one is it, and all of a sudden becomes a real person. And we realize that, when we realize that they're not the same person as we idealized, there's a lot of times disappointment. But at this point is where it's really important for us to develop deeper emotional intimacy. It's an opportunity, is what I'm saying, is when this triggers start to come up, this is the opportunity that we either have to leave, to flee the relationship, or we can stay and get to use relationship as a sacred mirror and as a vessel for transformation and self-awareness.
I love what you're sharing. This is so true. A lot of couples ask me things like, we understand that the honeymoon phase doesn't last. However, we are just not prepared for it to be so short.
Yeah, well, that could be when it's really deep in real love, because real love does shine the light on our old wounds, on wounds that have always been there. Because, as I said before, we're relaxing really deeply, right?
That's a beautiful way of saying it. I'm going to use that.
Great.
They need to hear it, because I often didn't know what to say when they say that, because I can see that there's so much love there, and yet they are stuck in the pain.
Right, in the pain body. Yeah, and when that comes up, and a lot of times we don't have the tools or the skills, we don't know them yet, how to deal with these wounds. And hopefully in the relationship, we're creating support for each other to look at these wounds and to heal them. So it is a tremendous opportunity.
Yeah, great. Tell us a little bit about the, I feel that your book is really fantastic. And with the practices, people can begin to bring up to the surface these wounds and process it for themselves. What has been some of the feedback you've gotten from your book?
Well, first I have to say that a lot of people have, because there is such a fear of intimacy, that I've had a lot of feedback from people that they were intimidated by the book. They weren't even, and then once they got into it, they didn't want to stop. I've had a lot of people tell me that all of a sudden they realize how much fun it is to share these activities with each other and get to know about each other. It's like perpetuating the courting time, because in the beginning, when we meet in the honeymoon, we want to ask all these questions and get to know each other, but then daily life kicks in and we stop asking questions of each other, and we are really dynamic beings. So these activities give people a chance to reflect on what their experience is and to ask each other a lot of deep questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So I as I mentioned earlier at the start of the show, I have read Pyasa's book, and I really love it. This is the book that I wish I had written. Only I wouldn't be able to, because we're just different people and we have different gifts to give to the world. And her book is coming really from a place of somebody who's very lovely and very, very loving. So I already loved her before I even spoke with her, just because I read her book. And going through the practices, I can see how it can be very scary, and people who are busy, who are caught up in their heads, they would look at the exercises and they'll go probably like, nah, I don't have the time for it. But like you said, if you go into it, there are so many benefits to learning about yourself, and also to strengthen and deepen your connection with your partner, that it's really well worth the time to do them. And looking at the practices, I understand that some of them would take longer than others. Is that right?
Yeah, some of them are much more involved. They could be as long as a day. They can be a commitment to a few days. And some of them really could take 15 minutes, For example, breathing together. It's a card that I believe I called Harmony. Mm-hmm. When I say it's a card, it's because the book is a playbook and you can use it on its own. But there's also a virtual card deck that you can find on my website. And so that way you can shuffle the deck and leave it up to existence to tell you what it is that you might need most in this moment. So yes, some are very short. And when you have your playbook, you can, if you get something that's more involved than you really have time for, you can shuffle again and get another card and find what it is that feels best for you in the moment.
Yeah, when people talk about working on their relationships, it's really quite something, because we don't really want to work more because we have our own jobs. And so by calling it a playbook, and it really is play, it's really bringing in fun back into the relationship. And I can see that some of the practices are easier than others. Some of them take a shorter time. And breath is definitely one of the easiest way in which a couple can go into harmony. So I really like that about your book. Mm-hmm. So, how long has your book been out?
About a month.
Wow.
Not very long. It's a baby that I just finally birthed into the world. So I'd say about a month.
Yeah. This book is definitely something that you listeners may want to get for themselves or their friends for Christmas, if it's not too late, or maybe like a gift for yourself for the new year. And Pyasa's website is intimacyadventure.com, and you can find her on Instagram, also Intimacy Adventure, and the Facebook group that she's created, Intimacy Adventure, that you can find. And you can email her at intimacyadventure@gmail.com. She's also offering listeners a purchase of 20% discount when you purchase her book within the next 24 hours. So you can check out more information on her videos and inspiration that she has by following her on Instagram and on Facebook. So this has been Martha with Pyasa, and we're coming up for a short break. And just to remind you that Pyasa is an intimacy coach and certified somatic sexologist. She is based in Ecuador, and she has had lots of training since the 90s, including being at Osho's ashram, and she has a combination of different practices from tantra to meditation to oriental body therapy, pelvic heart integration, sexual shamanism. So she is also available by Skype if you're interested, and we'll talk more with Pyasa after this break.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on Om Times Radio.
Come heal yourself. What is healing? Healing is nothing but connecting with your all-knowing higher self that already has solutions to all your problems and is always there to guide you. Through this show, we help you to connect with that you are and tap into that innate potential you have to transform your life and fly high. Please join me, your host Monica Goyal, every Sunday 7 p.m. Pacific. Namaste.
Live with medium Lisa Phoenix, Mediumship Messages and Musings, explores mediumship and all things metaphysical. Lisa Phoenix invites you to reach above and beyond your everyday experiences, to explore new dimensions in the spirit world. She will do live readings to connect callers to their loved ones in spirit, shares engaging stories and teachings from her own personal experience, and will have intriguing conversations with other mediums, spiritual teachers, and healers to help you understand the metaphysical world so you can connect to these forces in your day-to-day life. Join your host on this magical and metaphysical journey into the world of spirit every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake. The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Oh, okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had muted the mic unconsciously. So welcome back to the show. You are listening to Eros Evolution on Om Times Radio Network, and you can share the show with your friends by sending them the link omtimes.com/mobile. With this link, our mobile player is so advanced it doesn't need any app, only the link. And you can try it now. Your friends will love it. We're talking about love and intimacy on today's show with Pyasa Neko Siff. She is a somatic sexologist and intimacy coach, and we're talking about intimacy. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Hello.
So I had muted myself just now. So to further our exploration of intimacy, could you share with listeners out there some of the fears that people have around intimacy?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. I guess I think that intimacy is our deepest desire and our deepest fear. And perhaps because our fear, our joy, it's our deepest joy and deepest desire because it brings us connection that we're all built for, that we all are created for, is for love and connection. It's what we want most. And it brings up our fears, I think, because we get afraid that if we're seen as we truly are, we're going to lose connection, which is really what shame is about, is a fear of disconnecting. It's feeling that we're unworthy. So we can have shame around many things. And as you know, especially around sexuality, it's kind of something that we've been socialized with.
Yeah, I agree with you. So what can people do around processing or overcoming shame?
I think that one of the things that we all need to remember is that there's no perfect person, and that there's no standard to live up to, that we're all so unique and beautiful in our own way. And if we just have the willingness to be seen, to allow ourselves to be seen. And I think when we're in relationship, to let our partner know that we are there, that we love them, really who they are. And because otherwise, if we're not allowing ourselves to be seen, if we're hiding our imperfections or our fears and anxieties, we're not really being authentic. And then who are we in love with? Yeah. So one thing I want to add to that too is that we can't selectively numb out or repress parts of ourselves. If I repress my fears and anxiety and I keep that all hidden, I can't experience as much joy as is available to me. You know, we can't selectively numb our feelings, or else we take the chance of numbing all of them.
Yeah, I like what you're sharing, because I think especially for men, even though I don't want to gender stereotype here, but a lot of them are just used to all this macho bravado that they are taught, and it's very difficult for them to access their feelings and emotions, and then encourage them to express them when they have been conditioned for so long to, I guess, with the belief that if they were to really show their true self, they won't be loved.
Right.
So in us encouraging listeners to be more vulnerable and be more intimate, they have all these fears around that, disconnecting. So how can they overcome this very real fear that they have of not being loved? You think?
I guess I would have to say by taking a chance. If we don't take the chance of possible rejection, we won't really know what we can have. And I do believe that, especially if we're talking about male-female connections with the macho mentality, I really do believe that those women out there are going to really appreciate some vulnerability and authenticity around who they are. You know, I think for the men to know that, it's really important. And then for their partner to let them know, it's really important for us to give each other feedback and share our gratitude, share how much we appreciate when we are sharing our vulnerability and our sensitivity.
I love what you're sharing. We have to take a chance. What? I'm just playing devil's advocate here. What would you say to those people who do take a chance and do face rejection? What would you have to say then?
Well, I would say that why would you want to be involved with that person then anyway? We really want to find somebody who loves us for who we are. Because when we can relax and then expand like that, that's true love. The tension that people can feel, I mean, there's good tension. There's a good tension of the challenge in relationship. Yeah. But if we can't be ourselves, why do we want to be with that person? Simply put, it's like our moms would say, you know,
yes.
If they don't like you, who wants to be friends with them anyway?
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I was just wanting to hear what you had to say, but this would be exactly what I would say. Beautiful, beautiful. So for listeners out there who really are just coming to terms with the whole concept of being intimate and being vulnerable, and then all these fears are coming up, we're talking, both of us, we're telling you, take a chance. You may get rejected. However, if your partner or love interest is worthy of anything at all, your partner should appreciate what you're sharing. And if your partner doesn't, then maybe you don't want to be with this person. Because it's all about being real, and we want to have what's real, and want to have a real relationship, and to have real feelings, and we want to definitely be ourselves.
Yes, we do. Yeah, and with that, I would say, you know, some of the tools that we need for this journey in relationship has to do with what you were saying as well, that you like to bring to your clients as well, is mindfulness. You know, when we bring mindfulness, and then we also have to bring the willingness to transform, to be vulnerable, and to see who we are, and possibly transform some of our habits and ways of being. And with that, trust and transparency, trusting that we can be who we are, and being transparent about what we're thinking and feeling.
Thank you. So, you know, reading your profile, you know so many things, you know, oriental body therapy, pelvic heart integration, sexual shamanism, tantra, meditation. So you have all these different tools that you have. I'm just wondering, like, how long you've been on this path. Is it, as your profile says, since early 90s?
Yeah, when I was around 20 years old, I found myself in a community, a self-sustainable community in Colorado, and started working with an acupuncturist. So that's when I started my path on Oriental body therapy, and also the woman, Bella Cloud, who had founded this community. She was a medicine woman. She was harvesting, and I was going up into the mountains with her and harvesting herbs, and that really did get me on that path. And I love learning, and it's also has been a big part of my own self-healing to just develop all these skills. And then it gives me the chance to, now I really work with my intuition, and I call upon all these tools in my toolbox and see what's needed in the moment.
Thank you. So earlier you were sharing with me why you chose to be where you are at. Could you share this with listeners?
In Vilcabamba, or in Ecuador, you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah. So I live in a very small village in the Andes in southern Ecuador. And the reason that I was drawn here, I was sharing with Martha, is really because I wanted to be able to live a very simple life. I've been growing a garden wherever I live all of my adult life. And here I can grow food all year round. It's very simple. You know, there's not a lot of money to be made here. But there are people that I work with. I work with a therapist who refers me clients. And it's enough to be satisfied with the simple things in life, because there are so many distractions and we are so busy in this world. So I wanted to enjoy my life, basically.
Thank you for sharing. So we'll be with Pyasa once again after this break.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
If you remember living fearlessly, joyfully, and in a world filled with adventure, happiness, pleasure, and unbridled living, then this show is for you. Join me, Dame Nicole Brandon, as I bring you the world's top experts in wealth, creativity, flow, seat-edging technology, space, wellness, health, love, lust, and passion, all merging together each week here at the Hub of Happiness. Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Passionate Living, where you can ride on a magic carpet ride of living and learn how to lead a passionately wild, exciting, and outrageously amazing life.
Hey ladies, do you want to have that good hair day feeling all the time? Gentlemen, would you want your special someone to have that glow, letting you know she's feeling completely satisfied? This feeling and that glow can be yours by embracing your sexual power. So join me, Rachel Kenley, award-winning romance author, on the O-Spot. The O-Spot will guide you to that peak with guest interviews, book discussions, and conversations on the thrills of sexual empowerment. Put the zing back in your life. Come up and see me sometime on the O-Spot, live on Hump Day at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The future of Internet radio is here. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back. We are into the last 15 minutes of our show, and we are with Pyasa Neko Siff. We're talking about rising in love. And once again, I want to make sure that you get the fact that she is offering a 20% discount off her book within the next 24 hours. And you can go to Intimacy Adventure for that. She's also on Instagram and Facebook under Intimacy Adventure, and she is reachable at intimacyadventure@gmail.com. Just before a break, she was talking about where she is staying, and it is not really that accessible to the world. However, she does offer retreats, and you can tell from what she's been sharing, she's very much a heart-based person, and she's very much connected to Earth. Mm-hmm. If you want to get away from the stresses of life and really work with somebody who's magical, then you definitely want to consider perhaps reaching out to Pyasa via Skype, for instance, and checking out her website, intimacyadventure.com. So we've been exploring all about intimacy so far. I really like to find out more with Pyasa if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Yeah, I would like to add just a few little things, offer a few small things that listeners can put into practice right away into their lives to help start developing more intimacy and connection. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that would be simple things like, okay, for example, having a kiss, over a 4-second kiss or over a 4-second hug helps to get the oxytocin flowing. That's the good feeling hormone. So taking a little bit more time instead of having that quick kiss as you're running out the house, to really take a moment to drop in, have a breath, enjoy that hug, enjoy that kiss. Don't make it something that that you miss. Yeah, to really drop in. So that is just a small little tip that can really change your day and that you can start doing right away.
Beautiful, great.
Mm-hmm. And also, Martha, you were saying, I know you were sharing a workshop recently about the sacred pause, and that is also something that I love to share. Mm-hmm. And, Osho developed something called the stop dance. So what we would do is sometimes with hundreds of people in Pune, hundreds of people dancing, very loud music, all of a sudden the music comes off, everybody stop, freeze. Yeah, so that was the stop dance, and I like to bring that into the day. So maybe you're in the kitchen, and one of you could call a pause, and just stop and freeze in that moment, and become aware of what you're feeling and what you're doing in the moment. It's a way to bring more awareness back. And maybe even that pause you could drop into a hug. But so pause, like you share in the world, it's just so important.
Hi, before you discount this,
and longer kissing, longer hugging. And one more thing that I feel is really important, as we touched on before, is taking time for self-cultivation, because it's not all about the other person. It's who we are and how we fill ourselves up so that we can actually have the energy to share and to be with each other and connect in deeper ways.
Beautiful. Thank you for that stop dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I want to say, I want to promote your book, Martha, because your book also, orgasmic meditation also, it's a wonderful way to self-cultivate. It's a wonderful way for people who practice orgasmic meditation to become aware of what their needs and their desires are, so that then they can communicate what they are. This is so important in relationship.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, my book is called Orgasmic Yoga, and people can find it on Amazon. So I know you just launched your book, and you already have people who love it, including myself, and I want to get copies and start using those practices inside and facilitate sessions with my clients, and also recommend that they get the book. That's the reason why I keep going on about your book, because I really love it. And when I love something, I really love it. So what are some of the plans that you have with promoting your book?
Well, I plan to do a lot more interviews, and I'm going to be making little videos of what I might be calling my intimacy adventure assignments, so that I can share them on Instagram and on Facebook that give people little tips to bring into their week. So it might be your intimacy adventure assignment for this week is to have a dinner in the nude. Something. I wrote out a long list of very simple things that we don't need any money for, that we can just do, that are so simple to bring more intimacy and fun into our lives. So I'll be sharing these videos, and I don't know what else yet. Maybe you'll let me know.
Yeah, I think it's great, the idea of doing videos, because you are so beautiful and you have such beautiful energy and voice. And the things that are simple to us may not be so simple to some people, because I have met clients who are really lacking in any kind of creativity, and sometimes even just offering that simple thing will allow them to realize, to kickstart the whole process of not doing anything and just get things going.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and you're right. And really, nothing ever needs to become complex. It's the beginner's mind, right? I mean, meditation doesn't ever get more complex. The best meditation tools are the most simple practices.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Yeah.
So the saying that simple things work. Yeah.
Yeah. And you and I are here to share creative ways for people to have this, to share this tool, which is really about being experiential. They're experiential practices.
So we just coming up to the end of the show very soon. Is there anything else that I haven't asked or you'd like to share with listeners?
I guess I would like to read a little bit of my introduction in my book.
Yes, please.
Okay. So, because it kind of sums up what I really want to share. And so it goes, this is what I call the invitation, because relationship is an invitation. The intimacy adventure is an offering, an invitation to a journey that can reward the travelers with the profound satisfaction awakened intimacy has to share. If you are ready to delve into the wondrous realms of your authentic self and into those of your lovers, this deck will guide you on a delightful soul discovery. That's just a tiny bit. It goes on.
Beautiful.
And I'll stop there. So yeah, I guess anything else that I want to share is, there's no perfect person and there's no perfect relationship. Relationship is a vessel for transformation. And with that, I also want to add that if you are in an abusive relationship, that I'm not advocating that. It's that we really need to learn how to discern between our own challenges, our own triggers, and what is abusive. So just to clarify that with disclaimer in developing our discernment and our judgment. And if it's really just a trigger, well, it's just a great opportunity to cultivate deeper love, self-knowledge, and to dedicate this work, dedicate this journey of relationship to the planet, because our planet needs more love, and she loves to receive our good energy and our high blissful orgasms and soft cuddly caresses. She just loves that. So when we are happier, the world is happier. It's a chain reaction.
Thank you so much for coming onto today's show. I love your wisdom, and you are such a gift to the world, and so is your book. And once again, listeners can purchase Pyasa's book, The Intimacy Adventure Playbook, and receive 20% discount for the next 24 hours by going to intimacyadventure.com. Follow her on Instagram and Facebook, Intimacy Adventure, and also you may want to email her at intimacyadventure@gmail.com.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you so much.
Next week we have another guest, how to stay passionately connected with your partner for the long haul. And we have two people who call themselves love coaches. So stay tuned to Eros Evolution, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas. And this has been Dr. Martha Tara Lee of Eros Evolution. Take care.